By subconsciously adjusting past views to fit present ones, we avoid any embarrassing proof of our fallibility. It's a clever coping strategy because no matter how tough we are, admitting mistakes is an emotionally difficult task, which is why I always say it is extremely important to admit when you are wrong. It is a good habit to get into. And once you do that, it allows you to be able to overcome this falsification of history fallacy a little bit more. It's still going to happen. Our memories are flawed. Good morning, everybody. We're just going to start the BIGO live. 3, 2, 1. Fix the hair a little bit. Okay, hope everybody is having a great day after a great weekend. Now, I have just done my vibe, which means that I have also started preparing for my week and written my goals for the week. So we'll get into the reading so that we can feel motivated, learn something new, and feel good about the start of the week, that we've done something very productive to start the day. And thank you, JL, who sent something through on BIGO. So this is the book that we were going to be reading, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I have the Chinese version, don't have the English version. I'm learning Chinese, but I know that you don't speak Chinese. So we're going to keep reading a little bit of The Art of Thinking Clearly. Not sure what the rules exactly are around how much I can actually read with my commentary online, but we're up to chapter 78. Let's read chapter 78 and let's get into it. Just quickly follow everybody who is following and saying hello. And Marco, everything is very good. Thank you. And that was the wrong button. So we'll quickly say hello to everybody. And then we'll get into chapter 78. You were right all along. The falsification of history. Here we go. Winston Smith, a frail, brooding 39-year-old office employee, works in the Ministry of Truth. Sounds a little bit Orwellian, doesn't it? His job is to update old newspaper articles and documents so that they agree with new developments. His work is important. Revising the past creates the illusion of infallibility and helps the government secure absolute power. Such historical misrepresentation, as witnessed in George Orwell's classic 1984, is alive and well today. It may shock you a little. Winston is scribbling away in your brain too. Whereas in Orwell's novel, he toiled unwillingly and eventually rebelled against the system, in your brain, he is working with the utmost efficiency and according to your wishes and goals. He will never rise up against you. He revises your memories so effortlessly, elegantly, even that you never notice his work. Discreet and reliable, Winston disposes of your old mistaken views. As they vanish one by one, you start to believe you were right all along. Again, our brain is going to automatically do things so that we can survive and feel like we fit into the world as it is. In 1973, US political scientist Gregory Marcus asked 3,000 people to share their opinions on controversial political issues, such as the legalization of drugs. Their responses ranged from fully agree to completely disagree. 10 years later, he interviewed them again on the same topics and also asked what they had replied 10 years previously. The result, what they recalled disclosing in 1973, was almost identical to their present-day views, and a far cry from their original responses. By subconsciously adjusting past views to fit present ones, we avoid any embarrassing proof of our fallibility. It's a clever coping strategy because no matter how tough we are, admitting mistakes is an emotionally difficult task, which is why I always say it is extremely important to admit when you are wrong. It is a good habit to get into. And once you do that, it allows you to be able to overcome this falsification of history fallacy a little bit more. It's still going to happen. Our memories are flawed, and that is going to surprise a lot of people, and it's very difficult to swallow. But yes, one of the best ways to check that out is to actually make sure that you write down a lot of things, what you believed, what you agreed with people, and you'll see that you might not always be as right as you think you are. But this is preposterous. Shouldn't we let out a whoop of joy every time we realize we are wrong? After all, such admissions would ensure we will never make the same mistake twice and have essentially taken a step forward. But we do not see it that way. That's why we have to get into the habit of doing it for ourselves. rather than see that we continue the way we are. So does this mean our brains contain no accurately etched memories? Surely not. After all, you can recall the exact moment when you met your partner as if it were captured in a photo. And you can remember exactly where you were on September 11, 2001, when you learned of the terrorism attack in New York, right? You recall to whom you were speaking and how you felt. Your memories of 9/11 are extraordinarily vivid and detailed. Psychologists call these flashbulb memories. They feel as incontestable as photographs. They are not. Flashbulb memories are as flawed as regular recollections. They are the product of reconstruction. Ulrich Nieser, one of the pioneers in the field of cognitive science, investigated them. In 1986, the day after the explosion of the Challenger space shuttle, he asked students to write essays detailing their reactions. 3 years later, he interviewed them again. Less than 7% of the new data correlated with the initial submissions. In fact, 50% of the recollections were incorrect in 2/3 of the points, and 25% failed to match even a single detail. Nieser took one of these conflicting papers and presented it to its owner. Her answer: I know it's my handwriting, but I couldn't have written this. So I'm assuming that's the original paper. The question remains, why do flashbulb memories feel so real? We don't know yet. It is safe to assume that half of what you remember is wrong. Our memories are riddled with inaccuracies, including the seemingly flawless flashbulb memories. Our faith in them can be harmless or lethal. Consider the widespread use of eyewitness testimony and police lineups to identify criminals. To trust such accounts without additional investigation is reckless, even if the witnesses are adamant that they would easily recognize the perpetrator again. Okay, this chapter is fascinating and very interesting, and a lot of people are going to struggle with it. So what I would like to say is that it is good to practice writing down what you experience, what you see, what you hear, agreements that you make with people, and then go back and have a look at what you wrote to check what you think and whether it agrees with what you actually experienced in that moment. When it comes to, and it's interesting because we have somebody that's called the Erie County Sheriff who's just joined. It is good to actually start noticing more things around you. So I actually also teach memory techniques. And in those memory techniques, you need to be able to observe. Observation is a skill that we are not so good at. Get used to making a description of the person that you meet, making a description of the cars that drive past or that you see parked outside of your house. Have a look at seeing if you can learn to memorize number plates. And by doing that, you have to observe and come up with something that's going to help you to remember those number plates. These are invaluable skills and they help you to avoid. So one thing that I do is, and for example, one of my flashbulb moments is September 11th. And I remember that I saw a funny green haze in the sky. Now, it may be accurate, it may not. However, I think that there is a better chance that my memory is going to be correct on it because I am somebody who will retell stories immediately. So when I experience something, I will look for somebody to tell about that experience, and then I will retell it, which means that my memory is going to keep it in that form, as opposed to if I have not spoken about it for a long time. The same thing when I learn something new, when I learn a new skill, when I learn something investing related, or if I'm learning a language or anything else, I will take that new information that I've learned and I will teach as many people as possible. So it stays inside my memory and it stays in my long-term memory. So there are lots of memory techniques that you can use for this. And so memory training and this chapter have a lot in common. It is important to observe because we can only make changes, we can only improve in areas that we have observed. If I have anger management issues, if I don't acknowledge it, if I don't observe it, then I am not going to do anything about it because I don't believe that there is an anger management issue. And once you've observed, you need to retell and you need to use that information so that it remains accurate. And so you can write it down, you can tell other people, and you can combine those techniques in order to be able to overcome those challenges from this chapter. So I hope you enjoy that. Tammy's asking on BIGO where I'm from. So I'm in Sydney and I am reading every day, weekdays at 8 a.m. Sydney time. And I'm very glad that the Erie County Sheriff has joined as well, because yes, observation and training that area of your brain is extremely helpful when helping law enforcement if you ever get into a situation where you need to be an eyewitness, and you can be much more accurate and you can be much more helpful if you have done that. So there are lots of very interesting things. I'm going to quickly have another look at BIGO to see who else has been joining. And thank you everybody for joining. I'm looking forward to seeing you again tomorrow. I almost had withdrawal symptoms from the reading this weekend. So tomorrow we'll read chapter 79, why you identify with your football team, in-group and out-group bias. I'm very excited about that chapter. It is very similar to some other things that I experienced when I was at university. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. And if you would like to watch some other replays of this reading series, you can go to YouTube, the Passive Cash Flow Club. You will find some other interesting videos there as well as other chapters, all the other chapters that I have read and given my commentary to. If you would like to get in touch with me and see what I am up to, you can follow me on Instagram, where you'll find me at business_team_6_official. So you can see what I'm posting and what I'm talking about. And you can also DM me and get in touch personally. And I would love to get to know you. So feel free to do that. And I'm looking forward to seeing you again in the future for more reading. We will look for a new book once we finish this one, but there's still quite a few chapters left of this one. I'll also have a look at what the rules are around the reading and how much and all of that kind of thing. But first of all, I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Join us on YouTube. Join and message me directly on Instagram. And I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow, Sydney time, 8 a.m., whatever time this was right now. And then go out and work on your goals, because I'm sure that you're starting your week off on the right foot and you're ready to have a great week, and every day taking a small step closer toward your goals, and eventually you will reach them. So go out and have a great day, everyone.